Hi, friends. Oh, welcome to me with a dirty shirt on and my pre recorded lesson for No Moms Left Behind. I have a lot that I could talk about this course and what it means to me. Um, Basically, it's sort of like if I were to go back to where I were when I first started this journey 6 years ago, if I could have had like an overall frame of start these things now and just don't give up, just keep going. If I could have had that, that's what this would have been. So, in my mind, it's sort of like an overall how to get started, leaning in toward a life that you are excited to wake up and be in. I came to this entire discovery, all this awakening work that I do and love so much after being a mom for, I guess, about 6 years, 5 or 6 years, something like that. And feeling like I'd pretty much completely lost myself. I lost myself to not only my parenting role, but my role as a wife and a partner in that respect. And like my working dynamics changed. My friend circles changed. And it was a lot of that was in part to a simultaneous like alcohol addiction that I had been gradually amping up and adding more to. But about 6 years ago, it sort of all came to a head because I just didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to wake up in my life anymore. There were no parts of the day that I looked forward to. And it got to the point where I didn't even really enjoy sleep anymore. So I had formulated a plan to kill myself. I had a friend, I was going on a trip, and a friend of mine had offered to keep our kids, and I had a notary sign that if anything happened, she would be able to help take care of them. And I know that legally that doesn't stand, but in my mind where I was, I knew that it would at least show something in the way that this is what I wanted, and if it could be honored. I don't know. I was in a crazy space, clearly, because the happiest idea I could come up with was not lifing anymore. Like, it was a bad time, y'all. I was surprise pregnant. That was definitely a surprise. And it just went on and on and on. Like, on and on and on and on and on. So, when I came to this space, I had come back from the beach, not dead. And now it was, well, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do now? And this is sort of where I think it would have been helpful all along to know that there are many parts of us in us. There is a part of us that is completely vibrational. It doesn't care which words we use. It cares how we feel when we speak the words. There's a part of us that is very much still a child and has needs and wants and desires, and it actually serves us to appease and appeal to this part of us and to be very, very kind to this part of us. For many reasons, not just the fact that it's like a child, so we are nice to children. That's pretty easy. But also because this part of us has a huge play in our manifesting, in the actual fruition of things. There's also our shadow aspect, which I know many of us are a little more familiar with, but that's the part of us that has sort of been created along with our ego to sort of protect us from things, and it usually ends up getting turned into the bad guy. So in the beginning, it starts being created. Oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, because they will look at you weird. Like, don't pick your nose in public. That's not cool outside. Oh, got it, got it, got it. Well, at first, there's this like, oh, we're a team, we're a team. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you're the one that does all the bad things. And it's like something like that. So, and then there's us as a human. Then there is us as a human being having a human experience. And my name is Nancy. There's the higher power of me and you. And I sort of envision this coming from like the back of our minds and the back of our head, like streaming. Like we all have these big streams and they go into this hub. The hub, God, source, universe, is like the big pool where all the thought forms live. And this world is created from thought, at least from what I have learned. And it makes sense that all the thought forms live up there in, like heaven or where God is. All that stuff. As at least as understood from my teachings and my later understandings. It just sort of makes sense that they're just floating up there. And the higher our frequency inside of our belly, the higher our inner human vibration, our point of attraction is, the higher our frequency. Imagine like changing a dial on a radio, and that depends on where you're getting your thought forms from. You could be getting thought forms from your source, and likely they are geared towards your highest alignment. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to always look like the best thing to do. Like, your source will walk you through anything, calling you to the next aligned step. And sometimes they are not like great steps, but they are steps that have to be taken. And sometimes the universe, source, the hub, your big you, your higher power, will even know that you are going to sort of have but that you need to go through that to get through to the other side so that you can have this new understanding. Because just hearing blah, 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 blah isn't going to do nothing to that part of you that wants. So it's like, we are human, and in our human, we have many different areas, many different parts of us. So it's important to understand that the different parts of us need different things from us. Our point of attraction, our vibration really likes non-thought. Our inner child really enjoys play. Our shadow self, that could go on and on and on what our shadow self could like. And I want to talk about the different rituals and the different ways to appease and to enhance and to uplift, to tune, to cleanse, to clear, all of those different spaces. But we're going to save that part for lesson 2. In this one, we're going to just start talking about sort of the beginning. In the beginning, the first thing in the beginning, there was the word, right? The word is stop talking mean to yourself. From now on out, when you're hearing these words coming into your mind, these phrases, like some of mine back in the day were, oh my God, you're so stupid. Like, you fucked up again. Like, just that kind of running inner dialogue was just how I constantly talked to myself and fed myself vibrational information about how I felt about me. Our point of attraction is responsible for what we are emitting as a frequency being, as a vibrational being. That point of attraction sends out to other humans and other things, all the things. Everything has a point of attraction. And in that exchange, there comes some sort of in that exchange is where it is decided how the two interact with each other. So my point of attraction and your point of attraction, even before we get up into using the words, a lot of times there's already something going on between us. maybe, if we're already familiar, we're looking at each other and we're making eyes, or it's like, maybe it's something really obvious like that. But other times we could be complete strangers. And because we are stream to hub, in that hub, all the thought forms are connected. So if there were a thing controlling these thought forms and sort of guiding them around like a big game piece, if you would, the thought forms could see, oh, these two are thinking about the same thing. Let's have them run into each other over there. Oh, look at them. I'm going to look, they're both thinking about that. Oh, maybe she'll call her. She didn't call her. That's kind of how I envision Rose looking at me like, she's thinking about it and he's thinking about it. They're right next to each other. Oh, and there she is. She's on her phone again. But, I kind of imagine it like that, like our source, except they probably don't have like bodies like we do. That's why we are here, to have the body and to be able to play the game in physicality. We have our senses, and I don't mean play as in not important. I don't mean play as in the same play that we do want for our inner child, because that part of us really actually would enjoy play, and play in the sense of the word that we did learn from being a kid. But the first order of business is to stop talking mean to yourself, about yourself. Anytime you hear yourself saying things that you wouldn't be proud to say, you wouldn't think this is a good thing to say, anything that you wouldn't want your daughter or your mother or your son or your other loving human being to say and feel about himself or itself or their self. These are the things that you stop saying right away. And even if you don't have the replacement words, start with where you are. We will talk about affirmations more in lesson 2, but affirmations are a really good way to connect you from here to there. And it's in a buttering up way with words. It's like, for example, like pretend I'm like doing something and I drop something. Oh God, I always fucking drop things. Oh, that's one of those things I probably shouldn't be saying. I think this is an area where I will be getting better. And if I'm not mistaken, by saying that I always drop things sort of reiterates that knowing, that notion, that expectation that I'm going to keep dropping things. And I don't want to keep dropping things, so I'm going to stop saying that altogether. And I'm going to get better at these sorts of things, and it's going to feel less clumpy and clumsy. But for now, I'm happy that I noticed a space where I am not only being not nice to me, but I'm creating what I don't want. I'm creating more of what I don't want. Anytime I say I'm doing something, I'm casting that spell out. Our word is so powerful. This is why affirmations can work or not. Because you can let your words soothe and massage and shape your point of attraction to what you want to be. And you can hold it and feel it. And you won't be able to keep it on right away. Like, it takes a little bit of practice and warming up. But the more that you can get there and feel it, the more that you can do that and make it yours, here, just here in this body and mind and here, the more that thing has to become yours. The more that thing has to come to you. So affirmations spoken from an honest, loving, accepting, forgiving, graceful, compassionate way. Literally like building a bridge with your words from this place of maybe attack or self-abuse, certainly self-sabotage, but, and letting yourself see the mistake out loud, talking the mistake into existence. Mistake being, I've been saying these things to myself, and it's not okay. I'm no longer going to do that. I don't deserve to hear those words. I don't deserve to live inside of a body that feels that way about himself or herself, myself. It's a lot of like channel changing, if you would, when you first start sort of noticing the different parts of you. Because when you're in the moment and you're feeling angry or mad, it's like, well, yeah, that's real. You're a human and we have feelings. But we are also human and we have choice. We can decide how we react to things that feel certain ways. And we want to do that because when we live in that point of attraction, we just call in more experiences that call that. The universe doesn't do like yes and no or good and bad. It does, she calls for this, she gets that. She calls for this, she gets that. She calls for this, she gets that. It doesn't matter if you're calling like this or calling like this. Both of those faces were really creepy. It doesn't matter if you're excited or not. If you're calling out for it, if you're speaking it, if you're thinking it, you are creating it. You are thinking it into thought form, probably for at least tomorrow. It's going to still be in your experience. I like to say that for at least the next day. Like what you're doing today is going to be responsible for your tomorrow for at least that one day. And depending on how much momentum is backed, it takes a little bit of time to sort of fizzle and let things out. There is not instant manifestation in our world as we know it. We move with time and momentum. And there are many reasons that's good for us. And it's specific to our species and all the things that we do. It would really be weird for us to no longer have that in our experience. And it would be like about 5 more minutes, I would be about bored. And I guess I would just go back to God now. Anyway, that's not part of our package. We work with momentum. So it's kind of like, a funnel. So say a new idea. So because I'm doing brain and then hub, right? Pretend our brain has the wide end of the funnel, right? And in this long tube is the funnel that actually goes up into the hub that has all these other thought forms and all those other frequencies that I want. So say I want to create something all brand new. And I put on my new imaginary upside down funnel cap. And I want to start thinking about this idea. And I start thinking about how it's going to make me feel and how exciting it's going to be to like write that down the first time and how exciting it's going to be to put that in my calendar and to make the first event for that. And I sort of let that start swirling and swarming. And each time I come into that space, the bottom funnel gets full. Then it goes sort of like this. But do you ever remember like having to siphon something? It looks really gross, but you know what I mean? Where you have to sort of draw on the hose and then put it down real quick so you don't get a mouthful of gasoline or dirty pool water. And you're like, it's kind of like that, but from reverse. And you're not really siphoning, like sucking. You're allowing thoughts, imagination, ideas, to sort of create and bubble until bing, you're in there. And then it's just, once you can get the ball rolling, there's no more pushing uphill. It's just like, watch out, because it's going. But in the beginning, you do have to sort of milk the cow or get the juices going. You have to do that. And that comes through thoughts, imaginations, feelings, and letting it like swirl and depending on how much resistance you have in your body, like, oh, but I'm never going to get that because I could never get that. Or if it's just like, that kind of variance also goes into the equation. And that gives us our, how long is it going to take to manifest this answer? It's a little bit of this, and then it just comes out like an easy bake oven. So I'm going to look over my notes because I know I've gone over a bunch and I want to sort of stay in my mental frame I had here. I didn't really write that down here, but I'd like to mention that. Okay, great, wonderful. So as I'm speaking about that funnel thing, so imagine when you're first getting an idea, like, oh my God, but you have like a little resistance to it, or you're really not sure how you could see that happening. It'd be really cool, but you don't think so. And and say, for example, something of it comes into your experience and you're like, whoa. It's sort of like takes your breath away, or scares the crap out of you, or you just feel unprepared and you're not ready and you can't go. Like, and then a lot of times when those moments happen and it comes close and it goes away, then we start to, oh, well, I'm not good enough. So there is a little bit of a push and a pull, but things will start to bubble into your experience once you're starting this process. It'll come in synchronicity. It'll come in ideas. They'll show up in your Facebook feed. So-and-so over there will walk by and she'll be wearing it. You know, like, this is how the universe, oh, look, she's thinking about this. Let's show her all the things. Like, go. So this is a co-cooperation. And you are multidimensional. So in addition to affirming where we are, listening to our words, stopping that negative self-talk, practicing the affirming, like sort of talking ourselves into a better feeling, and then, you know, I'm getting better at this every day. I think that one day I'm gonna notice that I haven't even said anything mean to myself, and I cannot wait to get to that day. I feel like that could be tomorrow. That could be as soon as tomorrow. You know, it's sort of like that. There's this other space that I want to touch on today where Abraham Hicks calls it segment intending. So in between each space. So on the way to work, when you're in the car and get out of the car to go into the office, that's another segment. When you wake up in the morning and start the day, that's a segment. When I leave this room and go upstairs with my kids, that's a segment. So each time a person enters or leaves, or you're doing a new different thing or adding something like eating, that's like a new segment. So it's almost new segments all the time. Lots of times. Many opportunities for segments in a day. These are the moments where you can start to notice loops and where you're living in like subconscious patterning, but also where you can practice segment intending. And this is really good for helping to keep your point of attraction in a nice, juicy, delicious, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to feel. This is what I want to attract and give out. This is what I want to share with other vibrational beings in the world. So that kind of looks like this. So, okay, say I'm going to go into the work office. I'm in the car and I'm in the car. Segment intending is that I'm going to go get all the best sales. I'm going to go in my office today and I'm going to have great timing. I'm going to attract, happy clients. I'm going to have, good exchanges with my coworkers. I'm going to laugh with my, I'm going to laugh during the day. I'm going to find good timing. It's going to be an easy, smooth, moving day. The time's going to fly and I'm going to get so much done. I love this day. Sort of like telling yourself what you want to do. It's not so much like, oh, Bob's going to come in and give me her coffee or his coffee, and then I'm going to go over there and Jill's going to tell me how great my hair looks. You know, like, of course we can sort of know ideas and have ideas, but less specific, more feeling-based always serves this multidimensional part of us. In that space also, and also connecting back in the affirming, there is a little bit of place to learn and to play into the subconscious. And that's where we will talk about the loops and breaking loops. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever followed me before or seen me speak about this before, but I've said something about like going in the room and changing a lamp, moving the table around, sitting in a different chair, using a different mug. Small things to sort of disrupt the patterns, disrupt the subconscious programming. And when you're in that sort of awareness, depending on what's going on, you may want to consider a new sort of program to run. And run meaning practice in your mind, like mantra or affirm. You know, Like, say, for example, you didn't like your job, but you really enjoy the pay and you really enjoy the clients. It's just the particular work you do, or maybe it's the politics in the business, whatever it is. But you say to yourself, you go home to yourself and you know that if I want to move, and I want this to be a good feeling move, and I want this to be an experience that brings me joy, I need to be at peace before I go. If I make this move feeling unhappy, unpleased, unsatisfied, I'm taking that with me. We are vibrational beings. Our vibration, our energy leads first. No matter if we know it or not, no matter if we believe it or not, these things are true. This is also why and how those subconscious patternings sort of live. Like when we walk in that office room, like we sort of know right where we're going. We know how many steps it takes to get to the lamp, where our chair is, where the mug is. Hey, Sue, blah, blah, blah. Like it's all just like we could do it with our eyes closed, and it's like a magical carousel of a dance, but it's all subconscious programming. And unless it's something that just feels good and keeps giving you these wonderful results, there may be something to look at there. There may be something to tweak in there. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that in lesson 2 as well. And in that space, we'll go into a little bit more depth of how to address the rituals and rituals in general. I just want to talk a little bit about that. I personally like rituals because I created them based on my day, from when I wake up, when I like to eat, not when my family eats, when I like to eat, because there's 4 or 5 of us, depending on the day, in this house. And usually the 4 of us are eating dinner together. And I'm not always wanting to eat dinner with them. So, and in addition to like another healing path that I've had, I had to learn from my body. It doesn't serve me to just eat because everybody's eating. Like that doesn't work for me. Maybe that works for some people, but my learning and body manifesting and healing my physical body, that doesn't work for me. So if I'm not wanting to eat, I don't eat. So when I sit down with my family, I can sit here and sit with my family and have a drink or maybe a tiny bit of a snack or a veggie, and that's enough. And I'm still having dinner with them, and even though I'm not eating, I'm still preparing them the food that they want. Nothing is being missed except for me actually putting the food in my mouth. And of course, the first couple of times I did, Mom, why aren't you eating? And now they just know, just not eating. Most of the time it lines up great these days, but in the beginning, not so much at all. So I had to tell, I quit drinking. It took me a little while to do a lot of things that I had never done as a not drinking person. And in the beginning, it all seemed very scary, like going on a date, for example, and not drinking. I was like, oh my God, am I ever going to be able to date again? Now it's kind of like, oh my God, that was a lot of fun. I cannot wait to do that again. Turns out I actually enjoy myself now, now, but not back then. So there is a lot to do in this space, and there are a lot of reasons to do it all. The most important reason is because you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to wake up and have days that feel good, and you deserve to have a life that you look forward to living. You should be excited about yourself. You should get curious about yourself. Explore what makes you laugh. What foods, what weird things, songs, games, dances, colors, animals. Look it all up. Spiritual meaning of ... The list goes on forever. There's a whole world inside of you that would happily begin communicating, healing, exchanging, enhancing you and your experiencing right now, if you would be willing to let that happen. And you most of the time are a little. And sometimes a little more. And then sometimes not so much. But then sometimes a little more. And it's just a little bit of showing up and what now what? because we are multidimensional and because we are human and because we are vibration first. Vibration goes first. Vibration is a bigger part of us. Even though we have these lovely bodies, the vibrational part of us is bigger. But the human needs things too. They need things like a little bit of exercise, not a lot, but like 5 to 15 minutes a day of some intentional movement, whether it's a walk, a yoga practice at home or on a video or in a studio, a swim, a bike ride, a swing set, a dance, 2 dances, jumping up and down, running around in circles, some kind of a movement just for, I love my body and I love it to move, and thank you, moving body. Thank you for being able to move. Thinking that kind of an energy into the movement. Food, whole other area to address. Appreciating food for what it does for you, for what it brings to your experience, and having it in its own category. Thank you, food. I love you, food. And those two have an exchange, but they do not rule each other's world. This controls everything. I've lost 100 pounds twice. And the second time was way easier. And I don't even have a scale now. I actually do. I'm lying. I have a scale and the battery's been dead for probably 2 years. And I'm not saying my body is perfect, but I am completely, perfectly happy with my body. Even when I find the spaces where I have turned to a little bit of comfort food and I can tell I've gained a little weight, I don't care. I know I'm always tuning to my vibration, and it's just going to it's here to help me. I needed the comfort. I needed the cornbread. That's all. That's all. The cornbread is having a reaction in my belly. That's all. I'm going to drink this water and pee it out. Thanks, water. Thanks, body. That's a whole other topic, though. Meditation would be really good for you to practice. Journaling. Not strict journaling like da-da-da. Let yourself draw and play and make notes. I want to create an actual journal page, and I will actually. So if you're interested in it, I would love to share it with you. I'm going to do it monthly by moon phase, and it'll have, of course, the moon markings on there, but also some notes about how to track and start engaging or activating your intuition. You know, synchronicities that you're noticing, animals, colors. If you're learning or know anything about the chakras, a chakra that sort of seems to be calling out to you, or maybe could be being undernourished because you're feeling a little insecure, or you just don't have any energy, or you're just feeling so negative, or you're just so high in the sky and you just cannot stay grounded, depending on where you are with any of that, having a journal where you mention these things. And if you wanted to, in the beginning of this, for me with the moon and the practicing and the healing, I'd kind of keep notes and I'd sort of look back and forth. And, I sort of got the dates where it was like 5 days before the full moon feels like this, and 10 days before the new moon feels like that. And, it's just a lot. But we're all different, and they're all going to be different. And as we change and evolve and expand, and our consciousness gets bigger and our human potential gets juicier, we change again. That's what just happened to me. I felt like I'd had the answers. I've done this lesson 100 times. And I'm getting ready to do it, and I'm thinking about everything, and all of a sudden it's like, close down shop. All right. And all of a sudden, who am I? Well, I've actually grown into someone different than I was 3 years ago. Certainly more than I was 6 years ago. I might even be different than I was yesterday. And one promise I've always made to myself is to keep changing, to keep letting myself grow, not to get stuck, not get attached. Because from my specific stream, from me, my personalities, my soul, and this body's agreement. It's not to be attached this time around. I don't have to hoard. I don't have to fear. I'm safe to roam, explore, expand. I'm safe to trust humans. I'm safe to trust myself. It's been a wild ride, friends. I'd love for you to take some time and think about how you speak to yourself and start working on that. Shutting it down straight away. I would love for you to, if you have some phrases that you know of, maybe write those down and send them, burn them up, send them back into the ethers, back to the universe, to be transmuted into loving phrases that you deserve to hear. And even if you aren't there yet, you don't believe it, it's not how you feel, don't lie, don't fake it. Take the steps. Do the work. You are worth it. Let yourself find a little nook in, and it gets a little bigger and a little bigger. And you can go from not liking your experience to really enjoying your experience. You can go from not wanting to be alive to being excited to wake up for the day. Thank you for spending time with me. Please do not hesitate to ask any questions. The worksheet will be attached, connected somewhere in the same post. Lesson 2 will be next week. That one will cover more on the specific rituals and probably cover a little bit of alchemy, a little bit more in the energy medicine pieces of it. And just giving you some more ideas about how to play in all of those spaces. For that too, definitely have your questions ready. If you have questions beforehand even, you could send them in either this post or another, and make sure that I get it covered in lesson 2 for you. Talk to you soon. Bye.